Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Pleasure to have you here. Welcome to the temple for Shabbat morning services, and welcome if you're joining us from home. Our service this morning will be led from Mishkan Tefillah for Shabbat, the prayer book of Reform Judaism. You hopefully have a copy of the prayer book here with you. And if you have one at home, you can follow along with the prayers and the songs. If you do not, and you'd like to follow along with a digital version, you'll find it in the description of our YouTube channel. Our opening song this morning is Ma Yafeh Hayom, What a Beautiful Day It Is. Shabbat Shalom.
Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom, Ma Yafeh Hayom, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom.
We turn now to page 75. May the one whose spirit is with us in every righteous deed be with all who work for the good of humanity and bear the burdens of others, who give bread to the hungry, who clothe the naked, and take the friendless into their homes. May the work of their hands endure, and may the seed they sow bring abundant harvest. We continue with Ma Tovu, page 74.
Ma Tovu, Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma Tovu, Alecha Yaakov, Alecha Yaakov, Mishkenotecha Yisrael. Va'ani birov chastecha avodetecha eshtachaveh el hechal kodshecha v'yirotecha ma tovu alecha Yaakov, alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel.
We rise now on page 195 for our call to worship the Baruch Hu.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai, Amivorach. Baruch Adonai, ya la 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 la.
Please join me in the Yotzer. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uvorei choshech, Oseh shalom uvorei et hakol, Hameir la'aretz v'ladarim alecha barachamim, Uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma'rabu ma'asecha Adonai, Kulam b'choch ma'asita, Mal'ah ha'aretz kinyanecha, Titbarach Adonai Eloheinu al shevach ma'aseh yadecha, Va'al me'orei or she'asita yifa'arucha sela. Or chadash al Tzion ta'ir, v'nizkeh chulanu mehera le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer ha'meorot. The world is sunlight, restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes. More welcome than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeems the sun from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer ha'meorot. We continue with the Shema, page 200. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Hear, O Israel, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one. Baruch Shem Kavod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. Blessed is God's glorious majesty, forever and ever.
And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you on this day shall be upon your heart, shall be upon your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house, and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
We continue with the Ve'ahavta, page 201. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha, b'chol levavcha uv'chol nafshecha uv'chol modecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ela asher anochi mitzavcha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'aderech uv'shoch b'cha uv'kumecha. U'kshartam le'ot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot beinenecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha. Lama'an tizkaru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kidoshim lelohechem. Ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem lelohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 203. Sing the song of men and women, joined in understanding and respect, the song of God's miracles, an earth protected and cherished, a gift for our children and the generations to come, the song of a land once ravished by war, now quiet and content, her soldiers home to leave no more, the song of a world redeemed, the song of peace.
Mi chamocha ba'im Adonai, mi chamocha nadar b'kodesh, norot tehilot oseh v'aleh. Shira chadasha, shibhug ulim l'shimcha, al sfat hayam, yochad kulom otorim lichu, v'amru Adonai imuch le'olam ayin.
We rise now on page 205 for the tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol v'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geula Livnei v'Nehem L'Ma'an Shemo Ba'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. Source of all being, we turn to you as did our people in ancient days. They beheld you in the heavens. They felt you in their hearts. They sought you in their lives. Their quest is ours. Help us to see the wonder of being. Give us the courage to search for truth. Teach us the path to a better life. So shall we, by our lives and our labors, bring nearer the world we envision, one of justice, freedom, and peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham v'Ezrat Sarah. You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the doorframe, I begin to enter into your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold, that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, eternal teacher. Encourage my seeking. As I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so shall I be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving. Blessed are you, Adonai, who gives life to all. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh Hakol.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כגדול יד נביאך, וקרא זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוך כל הארץ, כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו, אדוני, אדוננו, מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכינו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהים, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהיך ציון לדור ודור. הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. לשבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
To all generations we will make known your greatness, and to all eternity proclaim your holiness. Your praise, O God, shall never depart from our lips. Blessed are you, Adonai, the holy God. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. Please be seated. We continue with Yismechu, page 211.
ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
מקדשי שבי שבת, כולם ישבעו ויתענגו מטובך שבת.
ישמחו
במלכותך,
שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת.
והשביל רצית בו, רצית בו וקידשת שבת. חינוך יומי, אותו קראת
שבת. ישמחו במלכותך, שומרי 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 שבת וקוראי עונג שבת. ישמחו Malachutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Zecher L'maaseh v'reishit Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat. Yismechu v'malachutecha. Shomrei, 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 Shabbat v'korei oneg Shabbat.
We turn now to our prayer for peace, which can be found at the bottom of page 216. O God, may we never become complacent, faltering in our efforts to build a world of peace. Let the nations know and understand that justice and right are better than dominion and conquest. May all come to see that it is not by might nor by power, but by your Spirit that life prevails. Praised are you, Adonai, who blesses your people Israel with peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamvorech et amo Yisrael, v'shalom.
Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom, tova uvracha. Sim shalom. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Chin v'chesed v'rachamim. Chin v'chesed v'rachamim. V'rachamim. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael. Amecha. Sim shalom tova uvracha. Sim shalom tova uvracha.
We take now a moment for silent prayer. turn now to the words of Mishaberach on page 253. We pray for healing for all of our world, for courage and for strength for those who bear the brokenness of it, for those struggling for freedom and life in the Ukraine, for the families of those who lost lives in terrorist attacks in the land of Israel, for all those in need of healing and hope, recovering from illness, becoming strong again when they were weak, for all those who are in need of care, and for all of those who care for us, we ask this blessing. Please join us.
And let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha leotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We rise now for the service for the reading of the Torah, Seder Kriyat HaTorah, which can be found on page 245.
In kamocha va'Elohim Adonai, in kimasecha, malchuteka, malchut kol amim, umemshaltecha b'chol dor v'ador. Adonai melech, Adonai melech, Adonai imuch li'olam va'ed. Adonai oz le'amo yitim, Adonai yivarich et amo v'shalom. Adonai yivarich et amo v'shalom.
In this scroll is the secret of our people's life from Sinai until now. Its teaching is love and justice, goodness and hope. Freedom is its gift to all who treasure it.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Lecha Adonai Hagedula, Bilgevura, Be'ativirit, B'hanitzach, B'hahod, Ki kol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Ki kol b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai הממלכה, ימית נשיא לכל לראש.
This This week's parsha is called Mitzorah. We're reading from the very beginning of the portion, the book of Leviticus, chapter 14. Please join me as we bless the Torah. Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamvorach leolam vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Zot tiyeh Torat HaMitzorah, v'yom tohorato, v'huva el HaKohen, v'yetzei HaKohen el michutz lamachane, v'ra'ah HaKohen, v'hinei nirpa nega hatzorat, min hatzaru. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "This shall be the ritual for a leper, at the time that they are to be cleansed. When it has been reported to the priest shall go outside the camp. If the priest sees the leper has been healed of the scaly affliction, the priest will order 2 live birds, cedar wood, crimson stuff, and hyssop, to be brought before the priest who is and the person who is to be cleansed." This week's Torah portion is called Mitzorah, and so distasteful are its actual contents that the classic commentators of old preferred to avoid them altogether in favor of a mystical, metaphorical interpretation of the name of the parsha, Mitzorah. Chapter 14 of the book of Leviticus actually discusses in excruciating detail the rituals of animal sacrifice and blood purification for a person who's been afflicted with leprosy and has now become ritually clean. Chapter 15 of the book of Leviticus concerns itself with nocturnal emissions, menstruation, and other unnatural oozes and bodily fluids. You can see now, perhaps, the appeal of a mystical and metaphorical interpretation of this text. The problem with this mystical metaphor is that, at least on the surface of it, we're required to stretch our analogy to a considerable extreme in order to make it work. This interpretive approach begins in the Talmud, Arakin 15b. We are told there that Mitzorah means more than simply the translation of the word, which is leprosy, and more than that might reveal. Mitzorah, we are told, is an acronym for the phrase Motzi Shem Ra. You have to take the first letter from Mitzorah, add an O, take the next letter from Mitzorah, that's Sadi, add an entire word, shame, and then Mitzorah, you have to make an ayin for the word ra, mean evil. I didn't say this interpretation would be easy. But if you follow me through this Talmudic rabbit hole, Motzi Shem Ra means to bring forth an evil name, which the rabbis take to represent a biblical injunction against idle gossip. Avoiding gossip and lashon hara is an abiding Jewish value. The Chatam Sofer, a great biblical commentator, said that gossip is akin to murder because it raises the blood to the cheeks, and because, like murder, once committed, it can never be undone. But I can see you are not impressed by the way we have arrived at this important Jewish value of the Torah. So let's look at this another way, in more logical terms. What can a scaly affliction on the skin possibly have to do with communication, or how we speak? Think of the image of the skin as a metaphor, first, for a boundary of protection, which is our usual understanding for the term, and the central context by which a skin affliction like leprosy would threaten us. But our skin can also be used as a metaphor for communication. Follow me here. Our skin speaks through touch, through a handshake perhaps, or a heartfelt hug when we really need one. We can even see our skin communicate through a blush or a healthy glow. And this dual metaphoric meaning of skin as boundary and as communication plays out in a fascinating way in our Torah portion, Mitzorah. Consider the following three words, all very common within this week's Torah portion. The Hebrew word nega appears precisely 40 times in the 2 chapters of Parshat Mitzorah. That's a lot. The number 40 is actually a typological number in the Torah, which means exactly that, a lot. How long was Moses at the top of Mount Sinai? 40 days, which was too long, and the people lost faith and built the golden calf. How long did it rain in the time of Noah? 40 days and 40 nights, too long, and it swallowed up the entire earth. How long did we wander in the desert? 40 years, which was too long, and an entire generation passed away. So the fact that the word nega appears 40 times in just 2 chapters of the Torah is a lot. And there's an interesting part that goes beyond that. The word nega has 2 meanings. It's a noun, which means an outbreak of plague on the skin, but it's also used as a verb, which means to reach out and to touch someone. So nega is something you absolutely would not want to touch, and touching itself. The Hebrew word or also appears precisely 40 times in the same 2 chapters which make up the portion Mitzorah. Or also has 2 meanings. It means both the noun for skin and the verb to arouse, to awaken, when 2 people are present in a room to comment or respond, to speak to one another. The skin, which is the site of the scaly affliction, has the same name as the word for speech. The Hebrew word basar, which is also very prevalent in this text, is commonly translated to mean meat or flesh. But as a verb, it can mean to announce, and specifically to publicly announce either good or bad tidings. So, altogether, 3 of the most common words in our Torah portion, Mitzorah, flesh, skin, and scaly affliction, all carry an additional meaning which involves communication and words. Which means that our perhaps overly pressed metaphor of Mitzorah as an acronym, Motzi Shem Ra, or evil speech, may not be so far a stretch as at first we might have seemed. It's a long way to go, I know, but having arrived at this abiding Jewish value, there's an important lesson for us to learn. In an age when free speech has come to mean anyone can say anything, even if it's provably false, even if it's provably dangerous, our Jewish values teach us that words matter, and we must avoid lashon hara, evil speech, and that even true statements about another person, which might be hurtful, should be avoided unless there's some pressing requirement of law or justice that makes us say them. Mitzorah teaches us that words matter, that we must learn to choose our words carefully, for what we say speaks more about ourselves than it does about those to whom we speak. And once let loose, the damage that our words can do can seldom be undone. The Baal Shem Tov once taught, your fellow human being is your mirror. If your own face is clean, so will the image be that you perceive. But should you look at another and see a blemish, it's your own imperfection that you are encountering. You are being shown what it is that you must repair in yourself. May the mirror of ourselves reflect only the image of God within us. And may we see in everyone we meet the spark of the Holy One, which makes us all one. Shabbat Shalom. Please join me in the blessing after the reading of the Torah, page 250.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. V'zot haTorah שעשה משה לפני בני ישראל. וזאת התורה אשר עשה משה לפני בני Al pi Adonai biad Moshe, biad Moshe. Al pi Adonai biad Moshe, biad Moshe. V'zot haTorah asher zam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael. V'zot haTorah asher zam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael.
We continue now with the Elenu, which can be found on page 283. Please rise. Please join me as we read together in the middle of page 283. Let us adore the ever-living God and render praise unto you, who spreads out the heavens and established the earth, whose glory is revealed in the heavens above, and whose greatness is manifest throughout the world. You are our God, there is none else.
ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא.
We continue at the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand, but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד. It has been said Adonai will be sovereign over all the earth. On that day Adonai will be one, and God's name will be one, and God's name will be one.
Page 290. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch. A fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me. Your laugh once lifted me. Your word was gift to me. To remember this is a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. Our thoughts turn to those who have departed from this earth, our own loved ones, those to whom our friends and neighbors have lost, the martyrs of our people, whose graves are unmarked, and those of every race and nation, whose lives have been a blessing to humanity. As we remember them, we meditate on the meaning of love and loss, of life and death. This week in our congregation, we remember particularly the names of Joshua Fink and Raymond Allen Sr., Pauline Frank, Etta Pass, David H. Rice, Rebecca Roden, Merle Jean Stern, Bernie Sweet, Joyce Brooks, Eunice Epstein Noodleman, Dorothy Golding, Edith Herman, Louis Weintraub, Israel Yaffe, Milton Brill, Harvey Frank, Mark Hetzel, Rose Snyder Hummel, Harvey Levine, Markham Levy, Kenny Nelson, Julius Nussbaum, May Naomi Pincus, Richard J. Yaman, Emma Berman, Catherine Grace Seams, A.J. Silk, Charney Sotsky, Robert Didle, William Glick, Stan Nadowitz, Ann Sherman, Marcia Tofflin, Seal Weber, David Bass, Robert A. Bowman, Rose Lee Fleischaker, Ann Marin Bloom Herman, Lillian Lansky, Roy Lee, Michael Renko, Elise Sales, Sylvan Stiebel, Evelyn Levy, Carol Margulis, Margaret Mosum, Alan Plank, Joseph Tsosik, Sylvia Weingarten, and one who died in recent days, Sanford Herman. Zichronam livracha. May their memories be for blessing as we rise for Kaddish, page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba, balma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayachon v'yamichon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael, b'agala uvizman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei Rabba mevorach le'olam ulmei olmaya, yitbarach, v'yishtabach, v'yitpa'ar, v'yitromam, v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shmei d'kudisha b'richu, le'lo min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechemata, Damiran bi'alma v'imru, amen. Yehi shlom Rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru, amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say together, amen. In hopes of peace, in the hopes of building peace, our closing song is Od Yavo Shalom.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam Shalom. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. Peace will come. May it come for all of us. May it be a peace of wholeness, of justice, of completeness, peace. We ask God's blessing on all those who have gathered here, on all we love, and the world we share. Bruchim atem bavoachem, uvruchim atem b'tzeitechem, me'ata v'ad olam, hallelujah. Blessed are you who have come here this day. Blessed are you as you go upon your way. From this time forth and forevermore, may you bless God's holy name.
Oh Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom to you all. Good Shabbos. Shabbat